Back to the James Bond Show. I'm your host, Krazy Kajeevie, with no fears, limits, or substitutes. Guys, what have I got for you today? Okay, I'm finally going through the trailer 2 for No Time to Die. It's affectionately been known as Trailer 2. But don't forget, guys, we've had TV spots, we've had big trailers, and we've seen a lot of all that stuff before, all the new stuff kind of before, just a slight extension of it, but I will discuss all that very soon. Now, before I kick off into going step by step, now you've all seen the trailer, you've probably seen it hundreds of times already, images of it, so I'm just going to speak about it straight down the barrel of this camera. Okay, the obvious thing here is trailer 1, the full extended original trailer that came out last year. It was obviously more story related, so it was story related. And it was setting up suspense, and it had a decent amount of action, and it also started with action. This trailer is basically an action trailer, and I'm not going to gush over the trailer. I'm actually so glad that I've had a few days to think about this, to sleep on it. You watch Calvin Dyson's review, he just gushes over it. He gushes over anything. Seriously, Daniel Craig could walk out with a paper bag on him, drop a fart, walk off, and Calvin Dyson would still gush over it. Others are kind of gushing over it too. There's one person that I think has a good, reasonable measure on it, and that's Dutch Bond Fan. I watch his review. I watch every review. I've read everything about it, and I've slept on it. So I'm going to give you my honest thoughts and feelings. Now, I don't know whether Eon have listened to the fans. I believe they have. The fans especially, obviously, I'm very well known of speaking out against everything woke and garbage that the previous TV spots and trailers pushed out. And I think they were testing the waters with those. In this trailer, they know they need to get asses on seats. They need to get people in a COVID world to leave their bubbles, right, and get to the cinema. And to anyone listening to this, forget the COVID bullshit. It is a scamdemic. It's a plandemic. Stop living in fear. Get your masks off. Get out. Get on zinc. Get your immune system up. Get healthy greens into you. Go and train. Get fit. Get healthy. Okay? And you'll have nothing to fear, because this is all about your immune system. Get out and enjoy this film that you waited for. Now, with this trailer, it's an action trailer, and it has cut the woke stuff out of it to a degree. So, in the first trailer, James Bond was a passenger. He was literally a passenger in his own film. And he was put down in almost every scene. There was sarcasm towards him, particularly towards Naomi. Now, before I go in frame by frame, scene by scene, what's new, what they've done, etc., I'm going to talk about my dislikes, and then I'm going to go into my likes. So starting off with my dislikes, I think Lashana Lynch has been, even without seeing the film, I think she has been horribly miscast in this film. I really do. Now, if they want to put in a tough female agent, I think they need to do it with someone with more gravitas than Lashana Lynch holds. Her voice is annoying. Her character is annoying. And even though they've wisely cut her back a bit, even the Russians cut her out of the trailers, the first trailer that was in Russia, even the Russians cut her out because they could see she was pushing a kind of man-like, transgender, almost like feminism. Now, that may upset some people. I don't really care. As everyone knows here at the James Bond Show, my loyalties to Ian Fleming, James Bond, and you, the real James Bond fans, not to left-wing nutcases that are trying to take over this film. So her character is really annoying. Her voice is weak. Yeah, I get the Skyfall reference and the joke with Moneypenny. Oh, I could have shot him or whatever. And she says, well, normally everyone tries to at one time or another. And yeah, look, it's reasonably funny, but the delivery of her delivery comes across forced, not funny, But thank goodness there's not a whole lot of it. Now, a lot of people are going, great, there's more Ana de Armas, you know, her character Paloma. Her character, she looks fine, right? I think she's overrated. Personally, I just think she's overrated. I love hot fitness gym chicks with muscle and tone. If you have a good look at Ana de Armas, she's a stick. She's a stick insect. But what I don't like about this is you've got a 50-pound weakling with machine guns, handguns, and flying through the air, poof, 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 kicking the bad guys and taking them out while wearing high heels. Now, I am all for a bit of unrealisticness in this Bond film, and I'm going to get to that later as well. And I'm just going to preempt by saying I am so glad this is a James Bond film. Like, this looks, apart from the woke bullshit, this looks like a James Bond film with a bit of fantasy elements, a bit of Casino Royale, and a bit of, you know, bit of Brosnan, bit of Connery, bit of Moore in here. And it looks like they're keeping the humour, which I think was the best thing from Spectre. I thought the best thing about Spectre was probably the humour and some of the scope and the scale of Spectre as well. And I'll get to more of that a bit later. What I think about Cary Fukunaga and second unit director Alexander Witt and what he's doing. So I didn't like Paloma. Sorry, I didn't like Nomi's character at all. I don't like the fact we've got a 50-pound Paloma kicking people. Again, it's like they're doing all the action, right? Nomi's flying the plane. Paloma's kicking ass. And James Bond's James Bond. He's doing a little bit more, at least this time in the trailer. We see a bit more action from him, but it's more him escaping from danger, not so much really doing the cool stuff. The third thing I do not like about this trailer, and it's been in the original trailers, etc., is some of the performances. I think the performance by, as I've discussed, Lashana Lynch looks piss weak. Paloma's going to be all about kicking ass, and I saw, the reference, she's holding up the tuxedo or whatever it is to Bond, and that's kind of a reference to Casino Royale. And hey, she even, from a distance, even bears a bit of resemblance to... Excuse me, sorry guys, going to sneeze there. Woo! And I'm not editing that out, because I don't edit, I just speak it. So, you can see the reference there from Casino Royale, and I like what Cary Fukunaga and the writers are doing there, bringing in references, because this is all one era. So that's fine and that makes sense. But my third big peeve is the performances, especially what we're seeing so far from Jeffrey Wright as Felix Leiter. What's going on with his acting? It's like there's really terrible overacting from that man. So I don't gel with that. Look, brother, blah, blah, blah. I mean, oh my goodness, did the director not tell him to bring it in? Maybe it's because they're in a nightclub and he's speaking loud. I don't know. Maybe I have to watch his scenes. I don't think he's going to be in the film long. I actually still believe, and it's not a spoiler, it's just a prediction. So if you don't want to hear a prediction, skip ahead. But I still think, just from what I've seen and what I've put together, no concrete evidence, I still think Felix Leiter is going to die. Now, here's another prediction, and any Bond fan could probably work this out. Anyway, I've watched all the Bond channels talking about this trailer and what's going to happen. And most people think that Paloma is going to get killed off because we only see her in the one dress and the one scene, etc., the fight and all that, and they're having a drink, whatever. Okay? Absolutely, she's going to die. She's going to be killed off. They saved Monica Bellucci's character in Spectre, okay? They're not going to save Paloma in this one. Paloma will be killed. Heroically or whatever, she'll be killed. Why? Because they're not going to have 3 female leads or 3 female characters, and you don't see her in the rest of this film anyway. So they're not going to have Madeline all the way through the film, Nomi all the way through the film, and then Paloma. So, yes, don't even speculate, will she die? Well, of course she's going to die. She's going to get done off, right? Okay, so let's move on. So that's what I didn't like. Those 3 main things are what I don't like. Now let's have a look at what I do like. Okay, I love the fact that Cary Fukunaga has clearly made a James Bond film here that is going back to the old days. Now, to give credit to Sam Mendes. Sam Mendes tried to do that with Spectre. He brought the scope and the scale back. He didn't do it incredibly successfully, and the colour palette in Spectre was terrible. The browns, the yellows, etc. It wasn't Bond. Look at Casino Royale, the cinematography there between director Martin Campbell and his DOP, director of photography, Phil Mercue. They brought a dangerous, tough Bond, and it was gritty, but the palette, the colour looked beautiful. So Linus Sandgren in cahoots here with Kerry Fukunaga, they've given us a nicer looking Bond film. Now, if they are touching anything up, if they're going back into post and touching a few things, because I just thought the colour grade on this, in places, looked a little bit more desaturated than what we've seen. In the original, not a trailer, but a promotional piece with boom shot discs, you see the colours in Jamaica. They're the sort of colours, more those saturated colours, I would like to see in this. But what I loved is the line from Bond where he's going to be killing millions, or Nomi says that as well. And ironically, I just want to touch on this that no one else has touched on. This is the first time we actually see Nomi in a trailer, not at one stage, not be a sarcastic cow and speak down to Bond. So when they're obviously in Safin's lair and they're going through the places with guns and she says he's going to kill millions, it gives us a scope and the scale, and also shows us that she's working with Bond there and not being such a sufferable cow who's just a man-hater. So thank you for at least that. I mean, one out of how many images and scenes we've seen of her. What I love is the scope and the scale. So now we see a big battleship shooting off rockets. Who knows, is that going to be like the good guys coming to the rescue and they're shooting at Safin's Island? Now, Calvin Dyson, in his review, wanted to know about the island and a set of Dr. No. Was it CGI, whatever? He wasn't too sure. No, it's not, Calvin. It's not CGI. That island they're using is White Island in New Zealand. When you cut after that into the shot of, I was about to say Dr. No's lair, I'll get to that in a moment, Safin's lair, that's not CGI and extensions. That is the real set done by Mark Tilsley. From what I know, that is absolutely a real set, and apparently the sets are just unbelievable. And I'm hoping we're going to sniff an Oscar nomination finally, or more. I mean, the Bond films have become more Oscar friendly over the last few years, obviously winning a few, especially for Best Original Theme Songs. I believe that Tilsley will be up for an Oscar for this because I think his production design looks fantastic. So that is very Dr. No looking. Now with that, let's nip that in the bud. I was the first James Bond show, first one pushing he was Dr. No. I said it from, I think, before the film actually went into production, because I had a few little sneaky tip-offs and I was spotting the obvious and trying to think how a producer, how these people would think by trying to bring Fleming into this film, even though Blofeld had been captured. He doesn't have to have the metal hands. Maybe they come later. My prediction is, I'm going to give you a prediction, and again, it's not a spoiler, but I'm going to give you a prediction. My prediction is that Dr. No, Safin is Dr. No, and that he lives. I think he's going to live. Whether they think maybe they can bring Craig back or something, or they're going to kind of keep it maybe open-ended. Maybe you see at the end, his hands get chopped off, and then an end scene or something, a hand comes up, and or some way you see him later at the end of the film and he's got metal hands. You just see hands come out of, blackness or whatever, and now they're all metal. I have a feeling they're not going to kill him off, because he is, at the moment, well, he was especially a year ago when they were filming this, over a year ago, he was the biggest thing in town after winning the Oscar. So that's my prediction there, and yes, I do think he's Dr. No. Now, the trailer starts in Materia. They've obviously done some CGI. If you compare this to the previous trailer, they've changed mountainscapes and things like that for the town, etc. So they've done some CGI there and it looks good. I think they've probably shown too much in this trailer of that bridge sequence. Now, when TV spots came out, they showed the car chasing Bond getting underneath, hiding behind this, section on the ground. The car goes up over him. I think that is a small scale stunt that looks spectacular. So it doesn't have to be a big explosion or whatever. It's things like that that use brain and intelligence and show that Bond has these great survival skills. And I think that is great. Yes, I love seeing it in the trailer, but at the same time, would that have been better if we saw that when we're sitting in the cinema? So we see the ropes flying off the thing as Bond goes down. I love it. Starts with action. Then we see Bond walking up into the room. Madeline's looking in the mirror. Bond's in the reflection of the mirror. And then he says that line about it not being over or whatnot, or about the past. So they bring in a little bit of the story arc, but they want to focus this one on action. Now, people like myself speaking out that this was going to potentially be a 3-hour snorefest and a big, long, probably boring, woke film. They've tried to eradicate that with this trailer by really showing the action. Now, there's confusion, and Calvin Dyson was one that is still confused about this. I don't know if his ears aren't working or not, but when Blofeld talks to Bond, and he's talking about will be the death, he says will be the death of him, not her. Guys, clean your ears out. It will be the death of him. When her secret finds its way out, it will be the death of him. Now, if you look at that in context of Blofeld talking to Bond, Blofeld's not talking about Bond because Bond's there with him. So when he says the death of him, the death of him is Safin. So Blofeld is talking to Bond. It will be the death of him. When her secret, Madeline, gets out, it will be the death of him, Safin. Also, what other people, some people kind of were thinking about it, and I agree with these people. When you see Safin, and you see the door, and you see the mask, door opens, right? We don't see the door open, but the door will open, and you see Madeline there, and she's kind of got the tears. Have a look at the lighting in the background, and then have a look at the lighting, right, with Safin. They are in the same room. That is absolutely. Some people have speculated, are they, aren't they? 100% they are. If you look down on the shot that looks at the box, have a look at the background. That background is exact same lighting setup. It's all one set. So he is definitely in the room with her. Now, people may think he's not in the room with her because he's after her for revenge. He's not the type of guy that's going to come in and just put a gun to her head and kill her. He could send any assassin to do that, right? He could send an assassin to go and kill her. So he's in the room because this is about, I've come for what you owe me. And I believe that's related to the ice scene where she's a little girl and he probably shoots the crap out of the ice and maybe saves her there, and that is part of the pre-title sequence. I can guarantee you that that was already confirmed by production designer Mark Tilsley, who let that slip out. That is part of the pre-title sequence, and I think the reason we're going to get an almost half-hour pre-title sequence is then we're going to go into present day in the Matera stuff. And it is good also to see Madeline looking more friendly in love with Bond, because just about every scene in Spectre and every scene in every trailer and TV spot for this, she's been really sooky looking and dour, right? Dr. Dull, as my good friend Maddie Markle, James Bond fans would love, calls her. Big shout out to Mano and Maddie Markle. Mano, my good buddy Mano, Victorian boy too. He also pointed out something really interesting too in this that I wanted to bring up. When you see a big explosion and a man in a tuxedo fly out, boom, it looks like he drops onto this car. If you have a close look and you freeze frame on that, it's not Bond. It's the scientist. It appears to be the scientist, and he's holding a briefcase. So I believe he was played by, I think, David Densick, but it looks like either that scientist. Now, if it's not the scientist, it's the villain. It might be another villain. Obviously not Safin villain, but there's another villain as well. And I'm just wondering if it's him, but I think it is the scientist. Also, another point is, we think that Bond's going off to Cuba to see Paloma. Well, Santiago is in Chile. It's not in Cuba. So all this stuff about Cuba, I don't know, maybe does he go to Chile first and then Cuba? I'm not sure, because I'm sure the filmmakers haven't stuffed up their geography that badly, because we all know Chile, or Santiago, is in Chile. What else can I talk about, guys? Okay, so some people thinking, oh, it's a little CGI heavy, and the bomb, we see this bomb go down the elevator shaft, and we see these little bits come out of it. And some people are like, oh, I'm not too sure about it. I love it. You know why I love that? Because it's James Bond. If you look at Thunderball, the best parts of Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, all the great Bond films, even a bit of Moonraker, which I absolutely love. You've got to have that fantasy element in it. And the films that are still putting these kind of things in, and fantasy element kind of things in, are the Mission Impossible films, and they're going so well. So Bond has to remain to be Bond-like. So I love that stuff. We see the, looks like a CGI explosion through the building, the top of the building. I love that. Now, I want to talk about the subplane, the switch wing. I love this. We see this big shot of the big plane, looks like it's being fired upon. We see Bond and Nomi. We also see Q. He's clearly in the plane and he goes through, I think we're going to get a traditional Q scene where he goes through the gadgets for the subplane and obviously explains to them it's a sub. Though that'll be interesting because then Bond says, have you flown this before? So maybe there isn't a big setup because surely Bond would know she hasn't flown it before. Or maybe Bond's not in the room and maybe Q just explains it to Bond and then Bond comes into that section of the airplane, they get in the plane and they go. But when it turns into a submarine, I love it. You see it come down on the water, the wings go in, it's now a submarine, and in the TV spots, just near when the film was originally going to be released in April, you see that come into Safin's lair on White Island as a submarine. You see it. So thank you, filmmakers, whoever came up with that. Thank you, because you wouldn't find that even in Casino Royale. You won't ever see that, obviously, in Quantum of Solace or Skyboar. So thank you, Kerry Fukunaga, whoever is behind this, for making this look like a Bond film. I love the wide-angle shot. You see these two boats, and it's like this sunset look. I actually think what's happening there is... Now, this is a spoiler warning. So if you don't want to hear a spoiler warning... And this is probably a very strong spoiler warning, okay? So you've been warned. My prediction is the Bond is going to die in this film. I still believe he's going to die in this film. Or maybe it looks like he lives again, like Dr. No. But I believe, from what I've heard and read, and leaked documents, that those two boats at the end, it said that Nomi was going to be in a boat and then she goes off with such and such. Like she's rescuing them, Madeline, and I think Matilda, the daughter. So I think we're probably going to get that towards the end. But the film looks huge. The scope and the scale of it, we even see a plane. It looks like, I reckon the plane where we see near the start of the trailer, the plane's flying into Jamaica. I believe that is Jamaica, and I believe that is Nomi heading over to go and get Bond. Now, when Bond's talking on the phone also, and he's saying, oh, you're new 00, I've heard Calvin Dyson and other people question who is Bond talking to. He is clearly talking. He's not talking to Felix as Calvin thought. He's talking to M, right? He's talking to M. He says, your new 00 agent, right? So, and I think that's also to take a bit of pressure from us, the audience, going, oh, she's 007, and making that go away, trying to say, oh, well, she's just a 00, she's not 007. But Bond is clearly talking to M there. And I would say that's M's on the phone and basically begging Bond to come back or whatever. That's what I think. It makes no sense for that to be Felix Leiter because Felix Leiter doesn't have a 00 agent. Only M does. What else, guys, can I talk about? Yep, action looks great. The car coming over, flying at the end. Boom, boom, boom. Car flies up, goes past Bond. Looks exciting. Looks really, really good. I'd love to know how they've done that, whether that car is just completely CGI. Now, as far as CGI, when I first saw the shots, which was a while back, and they've given us a bigger extended shot, you see the car chase with the Jeeps and all the Jeeps flying in the air, and you see a motorbike up behind them. That's part of a massive chase. That looks insane. Now, I would love to know if there's CGI there, or if that was all filmed with perfect timing and those cars doing that. The reason I think there might be CGI there is it just looks so clean. But wow, that does look incredible. So again, I love the scale and the size of this film. It looks really, really good. Daniel Craig looks really haggard in some parts. He doesn't look classic Bond-like at all. In some parts, he looks good. He looks good. Thoughts of him coming back potentially? Nah, forget about it. This is already filmed a year and a half ago, guys, year ago. So he's going to look even more weathered. Now, I want to discuss, do I think the film is going to come out in November as planned? Okay, I was originally going to do a video on this, and I was going to say not a snowflake's chance in hell. No way. However, I've changed my mind. I think with Eon putting this trailer out, putting the posters out, and if we see more leak out soon, I think they're going, look, we've got to release the film. We need to make money here. And I think they're going to do it anyway. And maybe part of them is prepared to take some losses, but I think they will get the film out. I'm very concerned for the UK, for the English viewers, because I believe, well, I know all this is a pandemic. They're pushing in England, the media are pushing this second wave thing. That concerns me, and then will they shut down the cinemas by November? Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, I believe they're open up again in England. If I'm wrong, let me know, I probably am. But will they open them up and then take them away? And then, you know, yeah. So I'm not too sure. I believe the film will get its release in America. China's going to happen. I mean, they're partying in Wuhan anyway, while the rest of us are locked down like mongrels, especially me here in Melbourne, Victoria. I am living under, and my fellow Victorians are living under the most stringent, disgusting, Nazi-like Hitler regime in the world today. And that's a fact. Like, as far as lockdowns, and a disgraceful scumbag Premier, Daniel Andrews, is locking us all down, and he's about to announce tonight that he's going to extend the 6-week curfew that ends next week, was supposed to end. He's now got more emergency powers too. He's going to make that last for another 2 weeks. And then after that 2 weeks, potentially a bit of freedom to a stage 3 lockdown. And this mental case has said that no stages will go. Stage 1, 2, 3, all of those will stay. None of them will disappear until Melbourne, Victoria, or Victoria goes for 2 weeks without one COVID case, which is complete bullshit and irrational. And let people out, let them breathe, let them have their life. He's crashing the economy. So will we even get to go and see the film in November? Even in Australia? I don't know. The cinemas here are still all closed up. So I'm not too sure, guys. Hopefully we can, because I've got to admit, I think this will be the last James Bond film I'll personally ever get to see in the cinema, because they're not going to have the COVID pass thing ready. And the COVID pass is going to be, basically, you're going to get a microchip and a laser light tattoo in the right hand or the forehead. Look up Revelation 13, 16 to 18. And then you need a COVID pass to go to a restaurant, to travel, to go interstate, to go overseas. It is horrendous what they're trying to do. Please fight against it. So yes, I think this is the last Bond film I'll get to see at the cinema. And, you know, from the current trailer, I'm looking forward to it. And I hope it's really good. Hope you've enjoyed this extended version of the James Bond show. We're going close to 30 minutes here. Please share it with your friends. And guys, more than anything, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. James Bond show's a bit different. It's not politically correct, and we talk real Bond here, real life issues, etc. Also, guys, I want to make an announcement. I'll leave the link to it below in the description section. I've also separated the James Bond show from my politics and theology and everything, and I've got a new show called the Krazy Kajeevie Show that's going to have film reviews, talk about the US elections, talk about the pandemics, talk about life in general. So come and join the Krazy Kajeevie Show as well. Come and subscribe, but please drop a like here. And guys, until next time, you know what I say. Keep on bonding and say hi to your mum for me. Take care, guys.